to understand emotional manipulators, I have to tell you a little bit about how I use the term. When I started this training, I wanted to come up with a term that captured the pathological narcissist. And I started to think that of all of the DSM diagnoses, which can be defined which are the ones that are defined mostly by their pathological narcissism. And so I thought to myself, and of course the obvious one was narcissistic personality disorder. The other one was an addiction. Someone who's on drugs, someone who's an alcoholic, who's a sex addict, a gambling addict, their addiction drives them to pathologically narcissistic behaviors. And the third one, an easy one, probably the most narcissistic of all the mental health disorders, is antisocial personality disorder, or a sociopath or a psychopath. And the third one, the last one, actually would be fourth, would be borderline personality disorder. So when I speak about emotional manipulators, I don't speak about it in its denotative sense, emotional manipulation. We all manipulate. Children manipulate, teenagers manipulate, codependents manipulate, narcissists manipulate. But an emotional manipulator, as used in this training and in my book, means specifically only a pathological narcissist or someone with narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, borderline personality disorder, BPD, antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, or an addict. And we'll talk later about the complexity of diagnosing an addict as, with a personality disorder, because we can't and we shouldn't. And we'll talk more about that later. But it'll suffice to say that EMMs have a huge wall around them, what I call the wall of denial. They are unable to, they're unwilling to understand what's wrong with them. They just can't do it. It's not that they're obstinate. It's not that they're argumentative, which they are. They just don't have the psychological capacity to understand what's wrong with them, and they typically project what's wrong with them onto others, blame others, deny their problems. Personality disordered individuals as a whole are very difficult to work with. And one of the major criterion of all personality disorders, especially the EMM disorders, is they can't see the problem because the problem is them. The problem is a crystallized personality. When you can't see the problem and you're unable to reflect and acknowledge a problem, naturally you see it in other people. These are very, very difficult people to work with in therapy. Who here works with emotional manipulators? They're very hard. They're very difficult. They're challenging. They make us want to go to therapy. And clinical supervision is very important for these clients because you have to be very, very healthy and very, very determined and patient, because these individuals have a hard time understanding psychological concepts. They have an impaired thinking, impaired moods. They have impaired control of their impulses. Their relationships are often chaotic and dysfunctional. They have trouble perceiving and relating to situations and people. They have rigid and inflexible thought and behavior patterns. They resist change. Despite consequence, they just can't or won't change. You can't change a problem if you don't think you have a problem. But worse than that, you can't change a problem if the person thinks you're the problem. I mean, what do you do with that? If you're codependent, you say, I'm sorry, and I'll be better. Or you walk around angry and try to get the person to do what you want him to do, and we go back to the original slide of the training. Their personalities are deeply ingrained. They're unaware of the harm that they cause, and as I said earlier, they commonly project blame onto others.